Hi, I'm Wally Brill from Google's Conversation Design team. Today we're talking about persona, the personality of any conversational interaction. Now, Webster defines persona as your public image. It's the face you show the world. Think about when an actor assumes a character for a role in a film or on the stage. Here's an example. When Leslie Howard and Norma Shearer played Romeo and Juliet in the 1930s, it was very different from the performances of Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes in the 1990s. Yet it was the same material, just interpreted with very different personas. Before you write a line of dialogue, it's necessary to define the persona. The documentation you create will be a North Star to keep the writing consistent and clear. It also becomes the description of the character the voice artist will play. Everyone has a unique persona. It's there from the day you're born, and it develops and morphs throughout your lifetime. It's the who of who you are. It defines us as individuals to the outside world and differentiates us from one another. So today, I want to show you how to understand and define the right persona for your product and brand. Now, we live in the future. Communication channels are ubiquitous, so people have high expectations for what intelligent assistants can do and how and where we can interact with them. So when we talk about persona, we're not just talking about a voice. We're talking about communicating with AI that seamlessly flows across surfaces, from the Google Assistant on your mobile devices to your car, your smart speakers, and your smart home. So we also have to consider that persona is expressed through audio content, visual content, interaction design, and even typography. But for a voice-first medium like the Google Assistant, let's focus on just why a clearly defined persona expressed in audio is so important. In Wired for Speech, Clifford Nass and Scott Braves said, "When people hear any voice, they automatically and unconsciously assign a personality to it. Within less than 2 seconds, the listener automatically creates a mental image of who they're listening to. They identify attributes like age, gender, education, where the speaker's from, and register, or their role in relation to the listener." Did you ever notice how people refer to the Google Assistant as she, he, or they, rather than it? She told me a joke, I'll ask him for the weather. That's because we can't help creating a character from those attributes. We go on to make assumptions about traits like intelligence, trustworthiness, and likability. You start to see how important the perception of the persona can be. And now, more than ever, the experience of the persona is the brand. They'll be inextricably linked in the mind of the user. And remember, each interaction is a brand impression, just like a billboard or an ad or the website. That's why leaving the persona to chance just isn't an option. If you don't design your persona, the user's imagination will. So how do we go about it? How do we create the perfect representative for the task or brand? To answer that question and show you the steps, I thought I'd tell you a tale of 2 airlines. First, important airlines. They're something like a national carrier. They're a bit traditional and no nonsense. Their strapline, "We're important and we will get you there," shows their practical approach. On the other hand, Millennial Airlines is clearly more fun and upbeat. Their strapline, "It's an awesome day to fly," kind of says it all. These are very different brands with very different styles. So how do we create the perfect persona for each brand? First, we need to understand the brand dimensions. We'll interview stakeholders, people from marketing, brand, and customer experience. We'll want to review the brand book and any advertising materials, print, TV, radio, online, outdoor. And we'll need to experience the product. In this case, take a trip. We're distilling the essence of the brand into a few attributes. In the case of important airlines, they're solid, confident, expert, reliable, straightforward, and safe. You know just what you're getting, no surprises. On the other hand, Millennial is very different. They focus on being bold, hip, fun, youthful, friendly, exciting, and delightful. Next, we want to know everything we can about the passengers. Who are they? What are their expectations, etc. We'll want to understand the customer demographics, the intended target segments, and their frequency of use. In the case of important, they're catering to business travelers, mid-30s and up, high value, frequent flyers. Once again, the Millennial customer is very different. They're holidaymakers and young families in their late teens to mid-30s who are budget conscious and who, for the most part, fly infrequently. Now we want to determine the tasks our persona will perform. In this case, we're providing flight status and information. Is my flight on time? Has it been delayed? When is it expected? Here's the fun part. We're going to write biographies for imaginary characters who might be a good fit. Often we'll make the register different between them. One character might have a more dominant personality versus a character that's more subservient. First up is important airlines. We mentioned register as one of the attributes we can discern from the voice. Register is the social standing of the persona in relation to the listener. So is the persona going to be someone very familiar, like a peer? Will it be an employee, perhaps? Or will it be my superior, something like a mentor or advisor? It's all about what will be most appropriate for the brand and task at hand. For important, we wanted our persona to be more of a butler. So that's exactly what we designed. Meet Terence Butler. He's 56 years old, solidly built, and comes from just outside London. The age indicates experience. His size determines how big and perhaps how deep his voice will sound. We want to know what influenced him, so we make his parents a hotel manager and a nurse. Terence knows hospitality and how to provide help. Now let's flash back to the brand attributes of important airlines. Solid, confident, expert, reliable, straightforward, safe. You'll notice that a summary of some of his biographical FAQ shows how this persona ties directly to the brand attributes. His very occupation implies professional confidence. He's been working for the same family for 30 years, indicating reliability and expertise. All in all, Terence is a solid fit for the important brand. Now we create some content for the character to say. We write a monologue and some sample dialogues to record with proposed voice artists if we're using custom-recorded human speech. If instead we're using text-to-speech, we produce the monologue using a selected text-to-speech voice. These recordings provide the writers with a strong sense of who they're writing for, and gives the voice actor a powerful tool to help her or him get into character. The monologue can be a paragraph or two of the persona telling a story to a friend. It can be about anything at all, something that happened at work, a hobby, anything. It helps to set the tone of voice. So here's Terence Butler's monologue about being a butler.
I quite enjoy this occupation. It's extremely gratifying to know that one is indispensable. If Sir is stepping out of an evening, I shall have prepared Sir's dinner jacket and accessories. And I shall, of course, assist him in tying his bow tie. The work of a gentleman's gentleman is never done.
You get quite a good sense of who he is, don't you think? Although he's rendered in a text-to-speech voice, his persona is solid and well represented. Now here's an example of this persona in an interaction. It's called a sample dialogue, and basically it's a script, like a play with two characters, a user and the persona. Have a listen.
Okay, Google. Talk to important airlines.
Getting important airlines.
Good morning. You're through to Important Airlines. Am I speaking with Wally?
That's right.
Thank you. And do you require information regarding your flight to London today?
Yes.
Notice his language. Do you require information regarding your flight? Very formal. Now let's shift over to Millennial Airlines. Remember their brand attributes? Bold, hip, fun, friendly, exciting, delightful. So what kind of person would they hire to serve their passengers? Meet Helen Highwater, a 26-year-old gate agent at San Francisco International Airport. Helen is super hip and stylish. She shares a 3-bedroom flat in San Francisco with a software developer and a med student. She's single, but currently dating Gary, the drummer for a band called the Ironic Three. They're ironic because there are 4 members. Helen studied drama and English at school with a goal in mind. Her dream is to be a stand-up comic. Her attention to detail comes from her dad, a bank manager, and her love of language comes from her mother, an English teacher. And here's how we tie her back to those brand values. Now here's her monologue rendered in text-to-speech.
I use everything.
And believe me, when you deal with the passengers, there's endless amounts of material, like the woman who was going to Boston but her luggage was on its way to Austin, or the parents off on holiday who each expected the other one to bring the kids to the airport. Then there's the guy who thinks he deserves an upgrade because he was in some obscure rock band from 20 years ago or something. Let me tell you, it's great training for a stand-up, and I get paid for it. And if I can deal with them, there isn't a heckler in the world who can bother me.
And here's the sample dialogue.
Okay, Google, talk to Millennial Airlines.
Getting Millennial Airlines.
Millennial Airlines. It's an awesome day to fly. Is this Wally?
Yep,
Great, do you want info about your flight to London today?
that's right.
Notice how she says, "Do you want info?" Very similar content, but very different language. So that's it. As you can see, persona makes a huge difference to the perception of the brand. Thanks for watching.